Well, now, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to announce his 2024 presidential bid tomorrow on Twitter with Elon Musk. I think somebody said 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. How about those apples? Joining me now to talk about it, Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor, Fox News contributor, and Monica Crowley, former Assistant Treasury Secretary and host of the Monica Crowley podcast. Welcome back, kids.
Hi.
Great to be with you.
This is a big event.
Yes, indeed.
I'll start with Monica.
Yep.
Here he comes.
Yep.
With Elon Musk, who was a hero of mine.
Yes. Well, I think a lot
And by the way, it's going to be participatory. You want to ask a question? Apparently,
Right.
you can dial in and ask a question. Even President Trump could ask a question.
This is well, and he might.
I know.
He might.
I know.
He might. Look, I think a lot of people expected this, that Governor DeSantis was going to get into the race. The question was how he was going to make this announcement. And this is really fascinating because it's a whole new world. He is going to do it in something called a Twitter Space, which is basically a live conference call for as many people who want to join as possible. Tens of thousands of people could be on this call. You can ask the governor a question. You can ask Elon a question. I think it is going to be a massive development going forward, not just for Governor DeSantis, but President Trump. And actually, you know what? Maybe President Trump will issue his first tweet in a long time tomorrow while Governor DeSantis is making his announcement.
Who's going to get more questions, Governor DeSantis or Elon Musk? Elon Musk is a global
50-50.
celebrity. I mean, seriously. Charlie Hurt, what do you make of this? It's unorthodox, as Monica's pointed out. It's going to be controversial. People are going to be totaling up the participation to see how that stacks up. What do you think?
Well, and of course, the great part of it is it cuts out the media. And it allows the way Donald Trump has been doing since before 2016. You cut out the middleman, who's we now know has been lying to everybody forever and distorts everything and is trying to sort of put their thumb on the scale when it comes to politics all the time. So I think it's fantastic. The good news for him is that he gets to start raising money and running in full force. The bad news for him, of course, is that he's already been running for 6 months and hasn't. And we've talked about this before. I think polls at this point are absolutely ridiculous. They're meaningless, but I do think it's sort of humorous when you've been running for 4 or 6 months and your poll numbers keep going down the more you run.
He's got a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah, and then but there's plenty of time, and I would be stunned if we didn't see a significant tightening of the polls and widening of the polls at different times.
Do you think there's going to be a significant tightening of the polls, Monica Crowley?
Well, I think Governor DeSantis thinks that he can make a strong case, but I also think President Trump has something that no other candidate has been able to develop, which is an organic, emotional bond with his voters. Not political, not ideological, emotional. And that is a very difficult thing for any challenger to overcome. So look, Governor DeSantis will get out there, he'll make his case. He's got a great track record in the state of Florida, which is booming. But Donald Trump has been president, and he's got an extraordinary
Most important
record.
thing for DeSantis to say to me. Wait, let me go to Charlie. I'm going to come back. I'm going to give you time to think about this major question. Charlie Hurt, what is the most important thing DeSantis
I'm the one who needs time
say?
to think. I'm like the guy that needs the extra time on the exam. No, I would argue that he's got to figure out a way to connect with voters, exactly as Monica was just saying. Donald Trump has this incredible connection with people. And, the idea is sort of laughable. If you read the NBC story that broke the story, they're talking about how this is going to be an opportunity for DeSantis to talk to all of Elon Musk's billion followers or whatever it is on Twitter. Well, that's not everybody that's following Elon Musk knows Donald Trump and knows Ron DeSantis. And he's got to figure out how to make a connection to this people. We know Donald Trump can make a connection with his people. They will follow him anywhere.
Monica?
Yep. Donald Trump.
I'm going to give you a hint.
Yes.
You served in the U.S. Treasury.
Yes.
I know what it is.
What does the Treasury specialize in?
Can I answer? President Trump, in 4 years, delivered a booming economy
bingo.
and a secure border and world peace. Okay, I don't know what anybody else expects or wants from an American president. He's going to run on that record and say, I brought back the U.S. economy not once but twice. Once after 8 years of Obama, again after the pandemic hit, and I will do it a third time.
And DeSantis has to say, here's my plan to restore economic prosperity.
Yes.
Here's my plan.
I think there are going to be
and I will do it without being dramatic or any of that stuff. All the bells and whistles that he's tried and hasn't succeeded. What's missed? I will not attack big businesses in my state. Don't want to name names like Disney. Right. Instead, I want to help job creators and entrepreneurs. Charlie, help me out here. She was the assistant. We used to do bullets and messaging together.
I'm saying
that's what he's got to do. He hasn't said a word about it.
Booming
Florida versus
Florida.
New York.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I'm saying is he's got to make that case, but overcoming Donald Trump's extraordinary economic record is going to be very tough.
Last word, Charlie Hurt.
She busts the curve every time. I bet that's not the first time you've done that.
You're just going to encourage her, really. But don't you think somewhere in there he's got to...
Well,
he's never done... Look, this is going to be a pocketbook, kitchen table election. You're talking recession, you're talking inflation, you're talking debt ceilings. Lord knows I don't want to talk anymore about debt ceiling. It's too boring. But I'm just saying he's got to say something about the economy. He hasn't so far.
And the level of frustration among voters today is even
huge.
It's even worse than it was in 2016. And Donald Trump has this a unique ability to capture that. And Ron DeSantis has to figure out how to do that.
I know. He's got to tap into that. Charlie Hurt, Monica Crowley, thank you.